Hi, this is Scott Schrader. I'm here to talk to you today, teaching from Parashah Mikeitz, and I want to direct you to Genesis 41:33-39. Here we see that Joseph has come to the Pharaoh. He's been brought to the Pharaoh. He interprets the Pharaoh's dreams and tells him of the upcoming famine, and then he gives him advice on what to do. And he tells him that he should find someone who is a Navon and a Chacham, and so or a person of understanding and discernment, and a wise person. So I want to talk about understanding and wisdom today. And it's interesting. Solomon, when he was told to ask for whatever he wanted, he didn't ask from the word we generally translate as wisdom. He asked for understanding. He asked to be a Navon. And so we'll start with Navon, and God did make him a Navon, and he also made him a Chacham. And we'll see how that plays out here in a minute. But Navon has the idea of discerning the noon. It's discerning and understanding, but it has the idea of the noon, which is a seed. So there's a seed or an inheritance given, something given, taken into the house. And so then that is flowed together, flows out an inheritance, or it grows. This is a noon as well, but it's the ending noon, and it's grown. And so a Navon is someone who is able to take something and out of that something make something bigger out of it, multiply it. You hear of rich people, and they'll give their inheritance to someone who has really no experience, and they lose all their money. But then you hear of someone who's given just a small amount of money, or whatever, whatever it may be, and they expand it and multiply it into being something. So that has to do with understanding. That has to do with being a Navon. And so Joseph's saying, find somebody like that can take what we have now and expand that and multiply that. And then get a Chacham. A Chacham is a skillful person. Solomon, he had understanding, he had wisdom, but notice when the two women came to him with the babies, and one baby, actually, one had already been killed, and they wanted to kill the other one. He wanted to find out whose mother it was. He used skill in that. It was skill that he used, God-given skill, to find out whose baby it was. And so the Chacham has this skill. He has, there's a tent wall here, a wall that, or it might be the person, the intimacy of the person. And there's an impartation that comes that brings a birthing of something. And so the person who has wisdom, who has Chacham, is able to bring a birthing about from something that he has from within his house and behind his tent. He is able to put an impartation on that. There's an impartation that comes that allows him to birth something out of it. And so this is kind of the difference. And so the Pharaoh was saying, find somebody that can do these things. Here we have a problem. We're going to have a shortage. We need somebody who can take what we have and multiply that. We need to take somebody who can take what we have and burst something out of that that's good. And so this is what Joseph was suggesting to the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh said, hey, who else can we find in verse 39? Who else can we find that can do this better than you, who has given us this advice and who has interpreted these dreams? And so we might feel a lack in some areas, but we have a promise. We have a promise. We might feel a lack like maybe Joseph did. This was a supernatural occurrence that happened. This was not his own wisdom, his own skill. This was not his own understanding. This was something that God gave him. And we have a promise. And even though we may feel we lack, we have a promise that if we acknowledge him in all our ways, he will direct our paths. And so he will give us the necessary skills that we need. He will give us the idea, the understanding, the discernment to be able to multiply what he's given us. He gives us the power. It says to make wealth, but actually that's really, the word actually, it's the power to gather. He's the one that gives us the power to gather. He's the one that we need to go to. He's the one that gave Joseph these skills. And the Pharaoh recognized this and said, hey, he's the one we want. And so it gave him favor, and we gain favor in that way too. And so I suggest to you that, if there's a problem in your life, maybe you need to expand something that you have. You need to multiply it. Maybe there's something that needs to be birthed. out of what's going on in your life that needs to be birthed out of it. It's a brand new thing. It hasn't even begun. You need to birth it out. First, we want to make sure that we're in God's will. But having done that, if we acknowledge Him in all our ways, He'll direct our paths, and He will direct your path as well.